Ask a question about abolition, but I'll change it slightly. The film negotiates justice through the system, through the courts, and through the RPC, and the rest of it. But I just wanted to ask you, where else do you seek justice? And there was a lot of call to arms for movement building now and change making now. So I just wanted to shout 2 things out that people can do. So we're trying to set up a cop watch in Birmingham with Sisters Uncut, which a lot of that started happening after SRFF case last year. Sisters Uncut gathered thousands and thousands of people, and they've been doing trainings all over November. And the Birmingham one the West Midlands, not Birmingham, the West Midlands one should be happening in sort of mid-December. So follow Sisters for that. And then also, you build them, they will fill them. This government is rampant on building new prisons in the UK. Their prison transformation estate scheme is something like 20,000 new places and mega prisons and secure schools all over this country. And there's long, big campaigns to get them shut down. And you can find all of that online by looking for Campaign Against Prison Expansion. There's loads of stuff you can do there. But I just wanted to ask people, where else do you seek justice?
Sorry, I just wanted to just say one important thing that I do. So much goes on with a case, yeah, but I just want to say that 5 years ago I had a letter from Scotland Yard asking if I'm this person, please call. So I did call. And I got an apology first of all, and they said, we're sorry, but we're doing an inquest right now. Not an inquest, well, an inquiry into spying on, people who've been in cases, and I was one of them. So they were actually spying on me and trying to get any dirt that they can dish out on me, that I was innocent, but it came to light. And I knew it. I had a feeling at the time something wasn't right. So I just want to say this is what happens as well. And it's happened in the Lawrence case and many other cases. Okay?
I'm going to answer your question kind of indirectly, okay? Because the pursuance of justice isn't just about using a system. So my cousin Mikey Powell was a vulnerable man with mental health problems and being restrained by 8 officers, a tiny little man, and he suffocated. They had no regard for his mental health or the fact that he was clearly mentally unwell at the time of the incident. The mental health system failed him. Birmingham and Solihull Mental Health Trust failed him. The ambulance service failed him. Accident and emergency failed him. The police failed him and killed him. So we went through the legal system. We went through the legal system for 8.5 years. Inquest, criminal trial, back to inquest when the criminal case collapsed, etc., etc. The last inquest decision was that Mikey was unlawfully killed. And this goes back to what Ken was saying earlier. So there were people in the community who were jumping up and down, yeah, unlawful killing. I said, what are you jumping up and down for? It's not going to go to the CPS. The inquest doesn't have the authority, right? It will just sit on some record somewhere. No officers ever faced criminal, well, they did face criminal court before the inquest, but after the inquest you would have thought, right? Unlawful killing, it would have gone now back to the court, right? No, doesn't work like that. So the officers who killed my cousin are still working in West Midlands Police, right? They offered the family some compensation to shut them up. But that's only half of it. We have developed 4 organisations in Birmingham in Mikey's name. One of them is called Forward Ever, which you've already mentioned, which is a news and campaigning website, been around now for 15 years. we set up something called the Mentoring and Advocacy Support Hub, or MASH for short, which works with young men with mental health issues who are likely to come into contact with the criminal justice system. And we support them to develop their skills and their etiquette, if you like, get back into education, start up small businesses. And that level of confidence and resilience means they're less likely to come into contact with the criminal justice system in the first place. So we know through MASH that we have averted people who could have ended up like Mikey or Kingsley Burrell or Trevor. So and then we set up an organisation called Catalyst for Change, which is a mental health kind of advocacy, campaigning, pressure group, if you like. And we are highly respected, even though we've only been around for 6 years, by the Mental Health Trust, the West Midlands Police, the CCGs, the education departments. They all want to hear what we've got to say, and they're throwing money at us to develop more of these initiatives in the community, which will divert people from the criminal justice system in the first place. That is a form of justice for me. That is easier to achieve than knocking on the doors of the CPS or Boris Johnson. There's stuff we can do. And finally, in 2015, we set up something called the National Mikey Powell Memorial Family Fund, or the Family Fund for short, run entirely by families affected by deaths in custody, no money from the state. We work on donations and funding from grassroots organisations like the Edge Fund that was mentioned in the credits of Ken's film. And we support families with anything they want. If they need a new carpet, if they need counselling, if they need funds so they can get to and from inquests, if they want to set up a website for their campaign, or get banners or t-shirts, anything. And that often gets forgotten. And you mentioned it, I think, no, you mentioned it as well, Trevor. The families often get forgotten by the audiences. We get framed in this victim kind of window, and we're left there. We're not victims. We're able people who are doing some incredible things out in the community that no one talks about, and even less people support. The Family Fund is only here today, really, because of George Floyd. When George Floyd died, it pricked the conscience of the British people, and people in the West Midlands gave us money in droves, which meant that our coffers were swelled, and we're now able to support many, many more families. So, and that's another form of justice, because those families who were neglected, even by the campaigning community, the Family Fund doesn't forget them, and we support them. They don't have to go through long, arduous processes to get the money. It's often in their accounts before they even know it. So there is stuff we can do, us, in our communities, to achieve justice for people before they even hit the criminal justice system in the first place. I don't even want them to get there. And that is the whole point of all these initiatives that have been set up in Mikey's name, not just to support the community, but so that the authorities never forget his name and the names of others like him in this region who have been killed by the police. So, yes, we need justice from the system, but we can also create our own justice and support for the families who are the victims in all this, and they often get forgotten.